All right, everyone. Hello and welcome back to today's online academy. My name is Dana and I'm a member of the education team here at the Aquarium of the Pacific, coming to you live from Long Beach, California. Now, today we're going to be ending our programming by talking a little bit about sharks. And this is usually a pretty hot topic with people, so I'm hoping for a lot of questions from you folks at home. Now, we do have this text line available for you to text in your questions during our program. That number is going to be 562-286-1838. So once again, 562-286-1838. Now, throughout the program, if I'm talking about something that's really interesting to you and you want to discover a little bit more about it, that's the perfect opportunity to text in a question. Again, 562-286-1838. That was 3 times, everyone. There's no excuse. I want to hear from you, okay? Now, if you find yourself watching this program after our live stream, which is June 11th at 2 o'clock, then feel free to email us a question if you have one. And that email address is going to be live@lbaop.org. Once again, that's live@lbaop, Long Beach Aquarium of Pacific.org. And we might not be able to get to the question right away since we aren't streaming live, but we will do our best to get you an answer as soon as we can. So, now that we've got that out of the way, remember texting rates do apply. If you're one of our younger viewers, make sure you have adult permission to join in today. And otherwise, let's get going. Let's talk a little bit about sharks. Now, there's a lot to learn about sharks, so we're going to work together to discover as much as we can and figure out what we're curious about. If there's anything we're wondering and anything we want to know more about, we can kind of team up and get some answers. So we're going to start by just putting some sharks on the screen here. Well, that's a weird looking shark, Cynthia. Cynthia controlling the camera today, and I don't know. That's a different looking shark, isn't it? And yet, it still fits all of the characteristics of a shark. So, sharks are sharks because they share characteristics. Now, I'm going to grab a whiteboard right here. One moment. Okay, so I've got my whiteboard here, and I need an eraser. And we're going to talk about characteristics of sharks. What makes a shark a shark? Can you think of any? Well, let's see. So, sharks. Sharks live underwater, right? And what that means is they need to breathe underwater. So, sharks, just like all fish, have gills. Okay? So, sharks have gills. Now, sharks, for the most part, have 5 gill slits. And if you look right here, it's kind of hard to see, but right over here and right up there, you can see those little slits, okay? Those are the gill slits. Now, on a normal fish, do we have a picture of just a bony fish? What about on the Mac? Cynthia's going to pull up a picture of a bony fish, and we'll talk about bones for sharks here in a moment. A lot of fish, they have 1 gill covering, and that's called an operculum. Sharks have 5 gill slits, okay? Now, here we go. So this is a Garibaldi, and it's hard to see, but do you see this kind of line right here that goes up like that? That's their bony plate that covers their gills. It's called an operculum. But again, there's only 1. Now, if we got a shark, it's going to have 5. But what if a shark... perfect. Here we go. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right in here, okay? But what if a shark had 6 gill slits? What do you think we might call that shark? You're right, a 6-gilled shark. In fact, here in Southern California, we have something called a 7-gilled shark. And oftentimes they'll come in to La Jolla down in San Diego, and it's a really popular dive site down there that you can see 7-gill sharks. Now, never been lucky enough to see one, but it's on the bucket list, and fingers crossed that one day I'll get to discover what it's like to swim with one of those animals. So, Cynthia was crossing her fingers for me, I think. Is that what that was? I appreciate that. I need all the luck here. Sharks are usually swimming away from divers. So, if you can all cross your fingers, maybe one day I'll get to see one. All right, so sharks usually have 5 gill slits. Nope. Bye. Okay. Sharks also, I mentioned that bony fish before. Sharks have a cartilaginous, there we go, cartilaginous skeleton, okay? Now, what that means is you and I have bones in our bodies, right? Our skeleton system is made up of hard bone. However, sharks like this sand tiger shark right here are cartilage skeletons. And so using that cartilaginous skeleton, they're able to move their body a little bit differently than a bony fish. I want you to think about our body for a moment. Where do we have cartilage, if any? That's a really good question. I'm trying to think of where that might be. Oh, duh! Our nose and our ears are both made of cartilage. Now, what is different about our nose and our ears than maybe my forearm? Other than the shape, right? My ear can bend, okay? My forearm, while it can bend at my joint, the bone right here itself cannot bend. And that's because bone is very hard and solid. Cartilage is much more flexible. So it allows the animal to have a very flexible movement. So take a look at this shark that just swam off my screen over there. He'll come back. There's one right down there. There's another one coming through in the center right here. This is a good one to watch. Look how, perfect. Look how flexible they are. They're just very fluid in the water. Now, I'm a swimmer. My friends around the office here, a lot of us are divers. We like to think we're pretty good underwater, right? For the most part, we've figured out ways to move through water in a comfortable way. However, if we watch a shark, we're nowhere near as graceful as they are. And it's because of that cartilaginous skeleton and the adaptations on their body that help them swim through water. So adaptations, that's an interesting word. What it means is it's something that an animal has on or in its body. Oh, hello. that helps it survive in its habitat. So one of those adaptations that sharks have that also make it a shark is fins, okay? So they have fins. Now, those fins help the shark move through the water. Let's go to the Shark Lagoon one more time. We'll watch them move, and we'll see what fins they're swimming. Are they swimming with the fins right here, or are they swimming with their tail fin? What do you think? Yeah, that one that just went across the screen was using its tail, or we like to refer to it as the caudal fin, okay? So the caudal fin propels the shark through the water, and then the pectoral fins, which are the ones on the side, let's see, there's none right here, are the ones on the side right over here that help steer the shark, all right? So it's really great adaptation because it helps them move through the water fast, and it also helps them move through the water nice and steady, all right? So sharks, gills, typically 5, okay? They're cartilaginous skeletons, and they have fins. Now, what I want you all to remember is that sharks are fish. They're just in a different category than bony fish. So fish can be broken down into bony and cartilaginous, right? And so fish have gills, fish have fins, right? So sharks fit those characteristics. Now, we had a great question earlier that I want to talk a little bit more about. And to do that, we're going to highlight a couple shark species that might not look like our typical shark, right? So this is a sand tiger shark. And you can see that if you were to close your eyes and picture shark, this shark fits the bill. It's got kind of a gray coloration. It's got some triangle-shaped teeth in the front, kind of a triangular-shaped nose. It's got fins all around. It's got a tall dorsal fin on top, right? If we could pull up the picture of our great white, you'll see the same thing. This is another very common shark that people picture when they think shark, right? There's those beautiful 5 gill slits right there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then they've got the fins, the real tall dorsal fin, kind of triangular-shaped nose, and triangular-shaped teeth. Now, that's a shark. But not all sharks in the world look exactly like these two that we just showed you. In fact, there are estimated to be around 450 different species of sharks. How boring would it be if they all looked the same, right? So what we're going to do, I mentioned that question we had earlier during a prior program, and the question was, why are whale sharks sharks? They look so different. And so we're going to break down sharks like our whale shark and our bamboo shark that was on at the very beginning of this program. And we're going to talk about the characteristics that those sharks have, categorize them into that shark family. So let's take a look at our whale shark right now. Let's think about those things that we said a shark has. They have gills, right? So it's kind of hard to see on this photo, but right back in this general area, That's where those gill slits are going to be. And they're going to have 5 of them, just like we saw on the great white, just like we saw on our sand tiger, and just like we'll see on some other sharks during the program. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. In fact, you can take your 5 fingers, put them on your neck, and kind of wiggle them like this. And that's how you can remember that sharks have 5 gill slits on either side. So, gills, check. Now, even though the name has whale in it, a whale is a mammal. Mammals have gills? No, they don't. Mammals, like you and I, we have lungs, and our lungs take oxygen from the air, right? So we come walking, we're doing our daily business, and we're breathing the whole time. Now, whales are a little different because they live underwater, but when they come to the surface, they have to take a really big breath. Sharks don't have to do that. And whale sharks are called whale sharks because they're the size of a whale, but they are still sharks. They do, in fact, have gills. Now, what else do they have? Sharks also have cartilaginous skeletons. So we don't have a video of a whale shark swimming, but whale sharks, just like all of the other sharks out there, have that nice, flexible skeleton. You and I have a very flexible skeleton as well, right? We're able to bend, we're able to move, we can stretch to make ourselves more flexible, but these animals have it built into their system, okay? Every part of their body is much more flexible. In fact, I had a friend who went diving with great white sharks. How cool is it's on my bucket list as well. And they said that the most surprising part of diving with a great white was watching just how quickly those animals could turn because of that cartilaginous skeleton. They're so flexible that they could just turn themselves right around, despite their large size. So even though the whale shark's very big, it can still turn quite tightly because it is, in fact, flexible with the cartilaginous skeleton. Now, another characteristic we wrote down, fins, right? Let's take a look at this shark. Okay, I see a fin. It's kind of hard, but this right here is a fin, all right? They do also have a dorsal fin up top. It's kind of tiny. It's more like a little, this is not a great picture, but you can see it back here, all right? And then they have their caudal fin way back there off the picture. And again, that caudal fin is what's helping. Ah, beautiful. So they've got the dorsal fin, but it's a little farther back on their body, really big right here. And then a little one, and then that huge tail, right? So whale shark, this is a great picture. When I said it's the size of a whale, right? That's like the size of a school bus plus 2 other big cars lined up behind it. They say it's up to about 65 feet. That's the biggest it's ever been recorded. I want to say usually they're around 40 feet or so, which is still really big, okay? So, again, doesn't look like what we think of as a shark, and yet it has gills, it has a cartilaginous skeleton, and it has those fins to help move it through the water. So there you go, a whale shark. Now, Sophia's going to bring up another shark that might not look like your typical shark, but while she's pulling up a photo, I'm going to go over here and answer James's question. Now, James wants to know, what do goblin sharks eat? Great question, James. So goblin sharks, we don't have a picture of one, unfortunately, but if you are able to, I highly encourage you all to kind of work with your friends, work with your family, and learn a little something together about the goblin shark, because if you've never seen a picture of it, woo! This might surprise you. It's another one of those oddballs. But goblin sharks like to feed on fish and squid and other crustaceans, which are like crabs or lobsters, anything like that. They have long, scraggly teeth. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about teeth today, but sharks all have different kinds of teeth, so I might touch on it. In fact, another reason whale sharks are forgotten from the shark group is they don't really have teeth, right? They have pretty small. Ooh, in fact, let's see. Let's go back to that whale shark photo for a moment. This is a whale shark jaw. And so you can see my pearly whites, but this shark right here doesn't really have them. Now, if I were to look really, really close, I can feel some little teeth, but for the most part, this shark is eating its prey whole, and it feeds on plankton. We can kind of guess that simply because it doesn't really have teeth to do much damage to any other prey. Now, goblin sharks, they have long, scraggly teeth. And so what might a shark with scraggly teeth eat, right? So they can't fit all their teeth in the shark's mouth. So oftentimes goblin sharks have teeth falling out kind of their open mouth. But they use those teeth to eat the slippery squid or fish, right? So pointy teeth can kind of latch on to slippery prey items, or they can also crush those crustaceans. Great question, James. Thanks for tuning in today. Now, let's go back to those bamboo sharks. I had mentioned them in the very beginning of the program, and then we threw that picture up on the screen before I got distracted by our questions. Again, keep those questions coming. 562-286-1838. There we go, right down here. Now, this is another shark that really tends to surprise people. And a reason it's so surprising, especially if you come visit us at the aquarium in person, is this shark is only that big. That's it. It's only about 3 feet in length. You can see them right here. In fact, this is another surprise. This is a shark that people are able to touch. This is about as big as they get. That's a full-grown adult shark right there. And they have very tiny mouths. You can see they're very flexible bodies, right? Look at their tails. They're all swimming with their tail fin. And so these bamboo sharks, we have white spotted, and I think we have brown spotted. Is that right? Brown banded. Thank you. I knew spotted was the wrong word. Brown banded bamboo sharks as well. And so these are sharks that don't get any bigger than that. Like I said, they're found in a tropical water. And as you can see, they're typically hanging out on the ground. Their fins are a little more modified to be on the bottom of the ocean than they are to be swimming around maybe in the open ocean, like a whale shark or a great white. And so these animals, as tiny as they are, they like to group together. Sometimes we think of sharks as solitary animals, right? Kind of cruising out. They're the tough guy moving through the ocean, just doing their thing. But as you can see in this video right here, they can be fairly social animals. In fact, these small sharks group together to appear larger. It's sort of a safety in numbers behavior. It allows them to stay together in a large group that might look like a larger animal to a passing predator. So again, different colors even, right? They're not that gray color that we tend to picture. They have, this one has like brown bands, lighter and darker brown bands. We have the ones that have the white little spots, like I said. So there's a lot of different color varieties of sharks out there. Now we're going to put up another one that has really cool colors and kind of a similar body shape to this animal right here, but significantly larger. And that's going to be the zebra shark. I'm going to let Cynthia go ahead and find that photo right there. Look at that. I think she was ready for me that time. So believe it or not, folks, this is also a shark. So it, again, is lacking in that gray coloration. Its dorsal fin's very different, right? It's not that tall, pointy one that we're used to seeing. But instead, if we break down the characteristics, just like that weird whale shark, this animal fits them as well. It's hard to see, but right in here, they have 5 gill slits. Again, take your 5 fingers, put them on the side of your neck, and wiggle them. Remind yourself, sharks have 5 gill slits, except for the oddballs who might have 6 or 7. Now, as for the color on this pattern, I referred to this shark as a zebra shark. But last I checked, this didn't look anything like a zebra. What do you think? What animal does this remind you of? An elephant shark? No, that's not right. That's not right. Ah, yes. Oftentimes people confuse this with a leopard shark. Okay, and that's because it kind of has polka dots like a leopard might. But you can just see this is a juvenile zebra shark. And so it still has some pretty strong bands going along its body here. And zebras, when they're babies, sharks, when they're babies, they are black and white striped, just like a zebra. Okay. Now, so it has a different color, but it does have those gill slits, has eyes and a mouth. It doesn't have the same teeth that we're used to. Let me see if I can find a jaw that is similar. Here we go. So this, I believe this is a zebra shark jaw. It might be a little small, so it might come from a small one. This is a model of a zebra shark jaw. Okay. So again, that big one that I held up earlier, that was a whale shark. This is a zebra shark, and I'm going to go over to our document camera and show you what these look like. There you go. Let me adjust the lighting. We're going to zoom in for you. Show you what those teeth look like. Doot, 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 doot. All right. So it'll kind of adjust a couple times to get the focus right, but these are the zebra shark teeth. Now, they're not the pointy triangle teeth like we're used to seeing in sharks. And again, just like the whale shark and its kind of lack of teeth, We can tell a lot about what this animal eats. Do you think this shark's going to be eating seals? Probably not, right? That would be a mouthful, if you will. Instead, this shark's going to be feeding on things that they find on the sea floor. So actually, if you can go back to that photo of the shark, you'll see that just like those bamboo sharks, it has kind of a flatter body right here, okay, which arcs up into a very elongated tail. Now that body allows it to rest on the seafloor, kind of like this. Hey, right? So zebra sharks are one of the lucky sharks that can hang out on the seafloor without moving, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment. But they live on the seafloor, just like this photo shows, on the bottom of the ocean. And so their mouth is kind of angled down right here. And so they get their food from below. Typically, it's going to be similar things that the goblin shark actually eats. It's going to be things like clams and crabs and different invertebrates that they find living on the seafloor. Now, it was a great point. We're going to jump back to, what did I say? The breathing part. And then we're going to roll into answer some questions and roll into some shark conservation. That was a mouthful. So talking about the breathing, I mentioned that zebra sharks are very fortunate and they get to hang out on the seafloor. That is because they have another adaptation, there's that word again, something that helps the animal survive, that allows them to stop moving. They have a little pump right on the side, and you can actually see it right here behind their eye, that little dot, and it pumps water over their gills, okay? Now, some sharks, like the great white, they are what we call ram ventilators. They don't have a pump, so instead, that shark has to continuously move. Blacktip reef sharks are the same. So if you ever come explore the sharks here at the aquarium, you might see a zebra shark and say, well, it's just sitting on the bottom. Is it okay? Yeah, it's okay. They're pumping water over their gills. And then you might see the blacktip reef shark swimming around and going, man, they haven't stopped this whole time. Aren't they exhausted? They might be. But that's how they live. They constantly move. So this is our blacktip reef shark that I'm talking about. And we do have some in Shark Lagoon as well. All right, so we're going to jump back. We're going to answer some questions and then we're going to roll into our conservation. So Rhodes wants to know, what do cookie cutter sharks eat? Good question. Now, if you've never heard of a cookie cutter shark before, this is a tiny little shark whose jaws, I actually have one, whose jaws open up into a very nice circle. I'm going to put it on the document cam so we can zoom in a little bit. Boom, my friends, that is a cookie cutter shark. And so you can see this upper jaw right here is very sharp and it's very curved, right? It's like a perfect curve. And cookie cutter sharks will go up to an animal and just take a cookie cutter shape, perfect circle, that's why you call it a cookie cutter shark, out of the side. And they're typically going to be doing that large chunks off of mammals like dolphins and stuff. But that's not all they eat. They do also eat fish and squid and, you guessed it, crustaceans, so other invertebrates that they might find in the ocean. What is my favorite shark? I mean, I want to say WhaleShark because that's the obvious answer, right? But I do think I love Sevengill sharks. So I mentioned that I wanted to swim with them before. The follow-up question to this, have I ever been diving with them? I have dove with sharks, but I've never dove with Sevengills. Like I said, so everybody out there, cross your fingers, cross your eyes, cross your feet. Maybe one day I'll get to swim with a Sevengill or a whale shark. I'll be happy either way. But yeah, Sevengills are really prehistoric looking, meaning they're very old. They've been around for a long, long time. And so they're very unique in that sense. And they're also a very like sharky shark, like what you would picture, with just a few tweaks. They have like more of a rounded nose. They're very slow and they're fairly docile in the sense that they might like check you out real quick, but they're going to get out of there really fast as well. Like I said, sharks are oftentimes swimming away from divers. But I have swam with sharks before. I got to dive with some leopard sharks, which you might be picturing a zebra shark right now, but we'll throw a picture of a leopard shark up on the screen here. This is another local animal. This shark, again, it looks more like a zebra shark because it's got stripes, right? But it also has the spots like a leopard. And so this animal is often found right here off the coast of Southern California. So I have dove with them, snorkeled with them. I've even stood waist deep in the water and had them swim around me. So if you've ever experienced that, you kind of know what it's like to be around a shark, right? It's very cool. And then I've also seen white tip reef sharks on a dive. It's pretty special. But like I said, they're always swimming away from us. So one day I'd like to see something bigger. Now, Dalen wants to know, let's see, since rays and sharks are cousins, what do they have in common? Great question, Dalen. Let's go ahead and pull up that perfect picture of a ray here, and we'll talk about those characteristics that we listed off for shark. So, number one, those 5 gill slits. Now, it's hard to see, but right around here, there's 5 gill slits, okay? So, unlike being on the side, these are on the bottom of the ray. And that's okay, because on the top, right here, just like that shark, the zebra shark that was laying on the seafloor, rays also have a little pump. Now, it's called a spiracle. It's what pumps water over the gills of that shark or that ray. And I remind myself because it's the miracle of spiracles, okay? It allows the shark to lay down, take a nap, and pump water over their gills. So the miracle of spiracles, that's kind of a fun little word frame that you can remember what that's called. So gills, 5 gill slits, check. Let's see, they have a cartilaginous skeleton. Okay, so just like the sharks, they're nice and flexible and bendy. Rays are as well. Now, Cynthia, while chatting, if you want to see if we have a video of a ray, I'm not sure if we do, but we can see if we have one that can show you just how flexible they are. If not, I'm sure you can explore online and see if you can find some videos of rays moving around. But they have long fins, which is our third characteristic, right? Pectoral fins right here. They're a little bit different. They kind of fly through the water, and it's that flexibility that really gives the relationship between sharks and rays. Nope, no video, but that's okay. So those are just 3 characteristics that they have in common. All right. Now, I think we're going to roll into our conservation, and I'm excited to end with this because it's actually something that you can be a part of if you're really interested in it. And I want to talk about one program in particular that we have here at the aquarium. It's called Global Finprint. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of introduce what that means, and then I want you to think about it for a moment. Why is it important information to have? So Global Finprint is a program that we participate in here at the aquarium, or in a partnership that has this thing right here, right there, all around the world. It's called a BRUV, a baited remote underwater video. So this is like a little bait like container. Beautiful young juvenile tiger shark right there. Here's a ray. It looks like maybe a manta. And so what a BRUV is, baited remote underwater vehicle, right? We have it set up on this contraption with the bait here. And then there's a camera. And these are set up in reefs all around the world. And it's documenting any interaction with a shark. Then volunteers from the aquarium and community scientists who are volunteering their time to spend hours and hours watching these videos sit there in front of their screen and they go, okay, at 1942, I saw this kind of shark. Or at 2317, I saw this shark. Okay, that's not a shark. That's a type of grouper. But it's cool because you get to see all sorts of other animals coming in and exploring the baited video cameras as well. But the idea is to look for sharks, and then all of that data, all of those interactions that our volunteers saw gets cataloged, and we start to get an overarching idea of what shark species were seen where, how many sharks were seen where, and maybe can follow some changes. Well, we used to see a lot more of these sharks. Why aren't we? And so that was kind of the setup. I want you to take a moment. Why is it important to know what sharks are where? We're going to put Shark Lagoon on the screen just for about 30 seconds or so. I'm going to step off, and I want you all to just think, okay? Let's think. Why is it important to gather information about where sharks are seen? Hopefully this video here can give you some inspiration. All right. So I'm going to try to answer that question, and then we're going to wrap it up here in the studio. But the idea is the more we know about sharks and where they are and how many there are, the better we can track their populations. And why is that important? Well, because sharks are incredibly important to our oceans. Oftentimes, sharks are an apex predator, which means they are kind of the top of the food chain, and they help control the rest of the food chain. If sharks were to disappear, whatever they eat can go crazy. Their population can explode. Then, whatever that animal eats, the population gets too small. And it trickles all the way down to the point where plankton can be impacted. And at first you're like, I don't care about plankton. But my friends, if you have paid attention to any of our plankton programs, especially if Jen's teaching, you will learn just how important plankton is, okay? So I'm going to leave you with that. I want you to really think through this concept of learning more about sharks, where they live, what their behaviors are like, and I want you to kind of expand on that knowledge and discover a little bit more information for yourself. So I know I'm giving you homework, but I believe in you. I think you can do it. And if it's something that really interests you, I do encourage you to email us at live@lbaop.org and share some of your thoughts. Why is it important to know more about sharks and their population trends? Why do we want to watch hours and hours of videos of ocean animals? I mean, I can answer that, but it's the ocean. It's great. Let's watch it, right? And then ask us any of your questions that you have as well. Once again, at live@lbaop.org. I want to thank those of you that joined us live today during our online programming. It's always a pleasure to see names repeated in our question boards. We're going to be wrapping up here, but we'll be back at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning for, one of my favorites, for crafty critters. Get your craft supplies together, and we'll see you back tomorrow morning. Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon.